Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to talk about how I prioritize things to do, what I focus on, what I'm trying to grow my character in, because there is a lot to do in this game, and if you're like me and you're playing these MMO type games, sometimes it feels like you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off, and you're not making any progress. So let's go ahead and dig in. So how do I decide what I'm going to focus on my character, and how do I make sure that's going to be beneficial for me? These are questions that are pretty complex and pretty hard to put together. So I'll tell you how I approached it as kind of a gamer. And I know it might be weird to think about it that way, but what I think about is what's going to make my character the strongest, the fastest. And almost universally in this game, what's going to make your character the strongest, the fastest is going to be equipment. And so I do tend to prioritize my equipment first and foremost. So I did focus on equipment that gives attack up. I did focus on having different elemental builds with my weapons. So I have a different build for each element of my weapon, and I have a different bow for each of the elements. Now, you'll notice I actually don't have some 4-star defensive gear, and there's a lot of people who say you should not invest in gear unless it is 4-star. That, you know, is what they say. That's what they think. I want to progress my character. I want to grow my account. You're going to get codex entries for it. So for me, I invested in the best gear that I had, and I've grown my character accordingly. So first and foremost, before I do anything, I focus on equipment. I look at, okay, this is what I have. And I look at what equipment is going to give me the stats that are the most important. So defense, for example, I think is really important as you are progressing. So I focused on armor, right? Whereas if you look at the hand armor, you only get HP and crit. When you look at the feet armor, you get defense and evasion. So feet and body were a priority for me, so I leveled them first. When you're looking at accessories, you get defense on the ring, you get HP on the earrings, and you get attack on the necklace. So I prioritized the attack on the necklace and the defense on the ring, and then I slowly worked on the earrings, and I did try to get them all to +10 because you do get it for both awakening them and enhancing them. And that was where I first started and where I continue to do a lot of my work. A lot of the times this game is about organization, it's about planning, and setting up your equipment first and foremost as a priority is definitely a good way to go. Now, once you kind of hit the wall where, you know, you farmed up most of your gear, you're kind of hitting that territe wall where you can't really, you know, enhance your gear more, or you can't really grow your account anymore through equipment, which is kind of where I'm at. That's when I kind of look at the other things. What are the secondary priorities for making my account powerful? And after equipment, I think the next biggest priority is familiars. And I think a lot of people get familiars wrong. You'll notice here that I have a variety of 4-star familiars. And you'll notice that my might is the only one here that has +96. The reason for that is because I focused on one familiar in the very beginning, because these familiar stats transition to your character. So what I did was I knew I wanted to use my might. I knew he was going to be essential. And so he's on almost every single bar because he's my strongest familiar. Then I can prioritize my elemental familiars for my bar. So I can say if I'm doing, you know, a water comp, I can put my water familiars on. If I'm doing my earth comp, I can do my earth familiars. And then I start prioritizing my 4-star familiars in those compositions. So I do have like universal familiars first and foremost, like Dinosaurus and Might, who are like just raw stats. And then I am focusing on building up familiars of a specific element to deal damage. I even actually have a Rambunctus leveled here. And a lot of people are probably like, why on earth would you have a Rambunctus leveled? He's a 3-star. I actually don't have a 4-star powerful earth familiar. I do have a disbelief, but that's disbelief. So I wanted to have an earth type attack familiar that I could set to do familiar damage and have that 50% damage bonus. And I had to use a 3-star. And he is very good at what he does. With him set, I do hit top 10 on bosses quite frequently. Sometimes I even hit top 5, right? So don't be afraid to do what's right for your account. And I would definitely prioritize familiars, because prioritizing familiars will also power up all of your alt accounts as well. Very similarly with prioritizing equipment, right? You're going to be able to buff your alt accounts simultaneously so that you can farm on your alts as well. Now, once you're done with equipment and familiars, you know, you have all of these kind of mini games in the game, right? And that's kind of a side thought to me. When I'm looking at like the forest, the farming, the hatching, the puzzles, the higgledies, the star charts, the, what else is a side mini game in this game? When I think about all of that, I just kind of grab that and put that to the side. I don't really think about that because a lot of that stuff is going to come naturally. You know, you will want to do your hatching, you will want to do your familiar forest, but it's not essential for your character's power level to do that right now. Maybe if you are trying to get maybe like more HP, you'll focus on your puzzle pieces. But for a lot of players, you know, they're not going to have the things done yet to work on those. And you know, you're going to do that through prioritizing leveling alts and through leveling your other characters. So, you know, a lot of people aren't even going to get a lot of stats from that. Once you're done with familiars and equipment, though, the next thing that I do focus on, and this is, of course, I should point out, this is, of course, if you have finished your daily. So that's going to be kind of your daily challenge missions and such. The next thing I'm going to focus on is actually the record. And the record is something that I am a huge fan of, and I am going to do a separate video on this. But it gets you a lot of things that you need for progression. It gets you puzzle pieces, it gets you gold, and in later levels, it even unlocks puzzle boards for you. And by doing this, and just by collecting like soul stones, you're going to naturally increase the stats on your character, right? This is going to give water attack plus 172. So if you're in a situation where you just don't know what you want to farm, you don't know what's going to be really powerful for your account right now, I would go back and set a goal for yourself to do the Southern Heartland Soul Stones, right? That's going to give you potentially, you know, 66 accuracy. It's going to give you Earth Attack plus 72, and it's going to give you, you know, crit plus 61. And what you'll find is over time, you know, between soul stones, specialties, vistas, and chests, you're going to slowly be building your character's power level. And sometimes progression in these types of games are very roundabout. And once you're kind of finished with equipment and when you're finished with familiars, it's difficult to have a goal to focus on. So my approach has been to set a goal kind of every day, set it for a few days for my farming priorities, and go from there. I'll give you an example right now. A lot of people know that I've been prioritizing testing out farming on my alts, farming for territe, farming for skills right now. And part of the reason for that is for my account right now, I wanted to have a level 1 version of all of the skills. And the reason I wanted to have a level 1 version of all of the skills is so that I can do a mono element skill bar for all of the different loadouts that I have. The reason I want that is so that I can deal extra damage with those skills in PvE situations. So, you know, that's not going to necessarily increase my character's power level substantially. You know, this is a lot of days of farming, a lot of days of, you know, farming pages in chaos fields, but what I'm going to get from it is some substantial power in terms of PvE killing speed, right? All of a sudden, when I switch to my fire build, I'm going to have fire abilities to deal enhanced damage against earth enemies, as opposed to just these skills that I would have set standard. Now, I could probably, you know, do a lot of other things that would help my account more, like EXP my main account right now. Maybe I could go and work on progressing my alts through the storyline to get drops, which is completely viable as well. But right now, this is what I wanted. What I thought would be the most valuable for me as a player and as a content creator that really is focusing on PvE kill speed for territe farming. I thought this would make the most sense for me. And it's not giving me the most power. I would probably get more power farming soul stones right now. So it may seem like you're not increasing in power level. I've been level 58 for you know, maybe 3 days now. And, you know, my friends in the Light Guild on our server have been constantly telling me, Diggs, when are you going to hit 60? When are you going to hit 60? And the reality is I do feel like I'm falling behind. I feel like I'm not making progress. But I do know that I have a goal to buy all of these elemental books, or all of these elemental skill books, to build up my character. And fulfilling that and doing that is going to be really good for my account as a whole. So this is something that I'm personally focused on, that maybe you want to focus on as well when you kind of hit a little bit of a wall and you want to focus on your alts a little bit more and grind out some XP or Territe. But that's just kind of what I've decided to do. And, you know, if you feel like you're hitting that grind wall where you're just nonstop pushing, take a break, reassess. Maybe you want to change what you're farming. Hop in my Discord, ask people, talk to people. You know, they might have a different perspective where, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I'm gonna go do that. So this is just part of the, what I would consider the old school MMO grind. And yeah, I love it. I love that there's a billion things to do. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day.